Hey, I'm here. This is Goose. This is On With the Show. And today's topic is kind of, I actually had something else I was going to talk about today, but I saw this headline yesterday. I had to talk about it. I had to. And so today's topic is going to be about Southwest Airlines leaving behind a couple of their passengers who waited 5 hours for their plane. Um, if you haven't already seen that, I'm going to get into it in just a bit, but if you haven't already, go down, subscribe to the channel, bang the bell for notifications, bang, bang, bang the bell for notifications so you always know when new videos are uploaded. And do me a favor, give me a big like because it does help me with the algorithm and get this out to more and more people. And yeah, let us get into it. Fox News headline: two blind women say they became only passengers on Southwest flight after airline forgot about them. Sherry Brunn and Camille Tate say they waited 5 hours at gate while other passengers were rebooked. This is written by Sophia Compton from Fox News, published August 10th of 2025. And the article goes on to say two blind women from Florida recently discovered they were the only passengers aboard their Southwest Airlines flight from New Orleans to Orlando, saying the company needs to improve how it communicates with passengers who have disabilities. Sherry Brunn and Camille Tate were traveling together on Southwest Flight 2637, scheduled to depart New Orleans on July 14th. Following a nearly 5-hour delay, the two friends finally boarded their flight, only to discover they were the only two people on the plane, according to Fox 35. You're the only two people on this flight because they forgot about you, Brunn said the two women were told. Brunn and Tate said they had waited by their assigned gate checking Southwest app for updates. However, unbeknownst to them, nearly all the other passengers had been rebooked on separate Southwest flights to Orlando that departed earlier from a nearby gate, Fox 35 reported. According to the U.S. Department of Transportation, airlines must provide prompt and effective communication for passengers with visual impairments, especially during delays or rebookings and boardings changes, a federal law under the Air Carrier Access Act. Brunn and Tate said that the requirement was far from met. Nobody said a word to us about another flight, Brunn said. We were just waiting at the gate checking the app like everyone else. There needs to be some improvement in how they communicate with their passengers, especially those that have disabilities. We have seen inaccurate accounts that suggest we forgot the two customers or that we sent a plane back to get them, the Southwest spokesperson told Fox News Digital in an email. Neither of these is the case. The customers were scheduled on flight 2637. Although it ran almost 5 hours late that day, it remained their same flight number throughout. Southwest said it offered each of the women a $100 travel voucher as compensation for the delay. We apologize for the inconvenience, Southwest told Fox News Digital. Southwest is always looking for ways to improve our customers' travel experiences, and we're active in the airline industry in sharing best practices about how to best accommodate passengers with disabilities. All right, so, and here is a picture of the two ladies on their flight. And they're the only ones there. And they didn't even seat them next to each other. They're the only ones there. They didn't even bother to seat them next to each other. How wrong is this? All right, this is wrong on so many levels. First of all, let's go back to their excuse. Because it was a huge excuse. All right, let's just go back to it for just a minute. All right. They forget about these women for 5 hours. In the meantime, they're booking everybody else on other flights to get them to Orlando and left them sitting there by the gate. And then they have the gall to sit there and say, well, this was the flight they were booked on. So, we didn't forget about them. We didn't send a plane back from them. This was their plane. This was their flight. This was the flight number. Everything worked. Everything was just fine. No, everything was not fine. You rebooked and got other people on other planes to Orlando and left them sitting there. Nobody bothered to even look over to see, even ask about what's up with these two women. They were there for 5 hours. Nobody bothered to ask, what are these two women sitting here for? Because they're not there for a picnic. They're there to catch a flight to Orlando. And that you just left them sitting there. And then, of course, after a 5-hour delay, they get on their plane. And then they go, well, you're the only two on this plane because they forgot about you and put everybody else on different flights. So, hey, let's go have some fun and fly to Orlando. This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. You screwed up and you're covering your ass by saying, well, they did technically miss their flight. They caught the flight they were supposed to be on. This was their flight number. And you wonder why Southwest Airlines has such a horrible reputation in customer service. Southwest has been known for decades to overbook flights, to put people on flights, that should be on flights. I mean, I've flown United. I fly pretty much exclusively. I pretty much fly American Airlines. I fly American Airlines, bar none. I've had the best service with American Airlines. You get free Wi-Fi, so you can tap into their free entertainment system, and they are the nicest people, in American. I've flown United. United's pretty good, except they are always running late. And there have been times. I remember on one flight coming back, we were coming back from Orlando. We were coming back from Orlando of all things, and we stopped off in Denver. And I didn't realize that the plane we got was like tiny. It was like small. I got a window seat, and I'm like this because apparently the wall is right there next to my head. Like I was too tall for the plane, and I'm like 5'8". I'm not average height. I mean, I'm not a very tall guy. So I haven't had too many problems with United, but like I said, I fly pretty much exclusively for with American. I had one guy I know. He flew to Vegas on Spirit Airlines, and he said, never again will I fly Spirit Airlines. And I'm like, well, we're like, why? And he goes, they charge you for everything. You're getting a cheap ticket, but then they charge you for all your bags. And they charge you for everything that you eat on the plane. They charge you for everything you drink on the plane. All of a sudden you realize your $150 flight becomes $500 because of all the things they charge. He literally said that if you farted on the plane, they would charge you for the fart. I mean, that's how some airlines work. And I'm like, okay, well, and for me personally, I'd rather spend a little extra to get a little extra, service. I know what I'm getting with American, and it's always been, I've always had good experiences with American Airlines. Always. And by the way, if American, if you're out there, you need a spokesperson, I'm right here. So, but this is but I don't think I've flown Southwest since Cindy and I were first married, which was like probably, I want to say it's like 25 years ago. And we flew Southwest. And it was, by that time, it was, when we flew back then, it was like, it wasn't like it is now. It almost feels like Southwest now has gotten worse as time goes on. Like they're trying to shove as many people onto the plane as possible. If they had standing room only flights, they'd try to do it. And that's how they get away with, being one of the cheapest, because first of all, they don't have, as far as I know, they don't have, first class. Everybody's like cattle cart onto the plane. They don't even assign seats. It's like, here's your seat. That's probably why the two women were like not even seated next to each other, because that was her seat and that was her seat. And then you have to sit in your seat because those are the rules of Southwest. I guess. I don't know. The fact that I would have thought that the stewardess would have been like, well, because you're the only two here, why don't you sit next to your friend? It's an aisle seat. You're all good. I mean, they didn't even place them next to each other. And I think it's just absolutely crazy that you have two blind women just sit there for 5 hours. You don't even check on them. You don't say, hey, how you doing? What are you doing here? Oh, we're waiting on our flight for, going to Orlando. Oh, really? Let me apologize. We've already booked people on another flight. Let me see if we can get you on another flight. No, they left them sitting there. They left them sitting there for 5 hours. Not even bothering to even check in on them. And then when their plane was finally ready to go, it's like they're the only two there because we forgot about you. Are you kind of wondering what Southwest, why you have the reputation you do, why you're always trying to pick up the pieces, trying to, I know that you have this reputation of having some of the cheapest flights in the air, but could you at least work on your customer service? Because, and I think what galls me even more, and I don't want to go into a lot of details on this, but I've seen this where plus size travel influencers purposely pick Southwest. They purposely pick Southwest because they know they can get another seat for free. They don't have to pay for another seat. I'm a customer of size and I need another seat. And if you're in their seat, they're going to kick you off. Because, and yet so you can be accommodating to customers of size, but you can't even be accommodating enough to a couple of blind women who are waiting for their flight. Again, it all comes down to service. I mean, the planes go where they're supposed to go, right? So they would eventually have gotten to Orlando. But the idea is the fact that you cater to everyone else. I think this is one of the reasons why I'm just so flabbergasted. You catered to everybody else and got them on other flights. And then, but you forgot about these two women here who are blind, who are constantly checking your app to see what's going on. And then when you realize you screwed up and they're the only two on the plane after a 5-hour delay, and then you have the gall to say, well, it was their plane anyway. They were scheduled for this plane, so this is what so everything's okay. No, it's not, dude. It's not. It really isn't. Matter of fact, it's almost kind of, I'm almost thinking, what would have happened if their flight was canceled? 5-hour delay for the plane. I don't know. And I don't know what the issue was with the plane. I don't know if it was coming in late or if it had mechanical problems or what. But so what would have happened if their flight was canceled? What would you have left them sitting there overnight? This is outrageous. It's crazy. It's like, this is the time when you use the phrase, you must do better. Because you must do better. That's how it works. Otherwise you're just going to be, having the same reputation of getting, I was looking at other headlines where they basically were canceling flights and, delayed flights and passengers were getting on, how, again, one of the things about Southwest and one of the things that they're known for, why I don't book with them. I haven't booked with them in over 20 years because they have a reputation for overbooking flights. And then you get there thinking you're going to be getting on your plane and I'm sorry, we overbooked. We'll get you on the next one. This is outrageous. It is sad and outrageous that you would do this to these two women. And then to try to cover, and then try to make it, we're going to give you a $100 travel voucher for the next time you fly Southwest. After that, I wouldn't fly Southwest. I'd just ask for the $100. I would just ask for the $100. I wouldn't even, because I'm not flying Southwest anymore. There are certain things to me that are more important than price. I want to make sure that when I'm flying, I'm not, unless I'm flying from San Francisco to LA, which is like a 40-minute flight. I don't care who I fly with, because it's that short. But if I'm flying across country, I want to make sure that, I'm comfortable, I'm taken care of, that things are, like I said, we have flown over and over again with American, and I have never had problems with them. I've never had a problem with United either. I've never flown Delta. I don't remember if I've ever flown Delta, so I can't tell you. If you have any stories of flights, with any of these airlines, that please leave them in the comments. I would love to read them and talk about them in a future episode of this. But but I just find this outrageous. I just find it outrageous. I'm going to say it over and over again. I find this outrageous that your airline would just leave these two women sit there for 5 hours. Did you bother to even get them anything to eat? I mean, they've been sitting there. They sat at the gate. It was not like they went off to get coffee. They were sitting at the gate. And nobody at either of the gates came up to them and say, "Hey, what's going on? Why are you here? Can we help you with something?" Nothing. Again, gotta do better. You gotta do better. All right, that's it for the show today. Thank you for watching. If you haven't already, go down and subscribe to the channel. Bang the bell for notifications. Bang, bang, bang the bell for notifications, so you always know when new videos are uploaded. Give me a big like on the video, because it does help me with the algorithm and get this out to more and more people. If you can do me a favor, share this out to as many friends and family and whoever, neighbors that you can, so that you let everybody know what I'm doing over here. And leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about this. Let me know what you think about this topic today. Tell me if you have any stories about when you've flown on the airlines, and maybe in a future episode I'll read them on the air. But for now, thank you so much for watching. I'm Goose. This is On With The Show. I will see you on the other side.